Americanism by H.P. Lovecraft, Laureate. It is easy to sentimentalize on the subject of the American spirit, what it is, may be, or should be. Exponents of various novel political and social theories are particularly given to this practice, nearly always concluding that true Americanism is nothing more or less than a national application of their respective individual doctrines. Slightly less superficial observers hit upon the abstract principle of liberty as the keynote of Americanism, interpreting this justly esteemed principle as anything from Bolshevism to the right to drink 2.75% beer. Opportunity is another favorite byword, and one which is certainly not without real significance. The synonymousness of America and opportunity has been inculcated into many a young head of the present generation by Emerson via Montgomery's Leading Facts of American History. But it is worthy of note that nearly all would-be definers of Americanism fail through their prejudiced unwillingness to trace the quality to its European source. They cannot bring themselves to see that abiogenesis is as rare in the realm of ideas as it is in the kingdom of organic life, and consequently waste their efforts in trying to treat America as if it were an isolated phenomenon without ancestry. Americanism is expanded Anglo-Saxonism. It is the spirit of England transplanted to a soil of vast extent and diversity, and nourished for a time under pioneer conditions calculated to increase its democratic aspects without impairing its fundamental virtues. It is the spirit of truth, honor, justice, morality, moderation, individualism, conservative liberty, magnanimity, toleration, enterprise, industriousness, and progress, which is England, plus the element of equality and opportunity caused by pioneer settlement. It is the expression of the world's highest race under the most favorable social, political, and geographical conditions. Those who endeavor to belittle the importance of our British ancestry are invited to consider the other nations of this continent. All these are equally American in every particular, differing only in race, stock, and heritage, yet of them all none save British Canada will even bear comparison with us. We are great because we are part of the great Anglo-Saxon cultural sphere, a section detached only after a century and a half of heavy colonization and English rule, which gave to our land the ineradicable stamp of British civilization. Most dangerous and fallacious of the several misconceptions of Americanism is that of the so-called melting pot of races and traditions. It is true that this country has received a vast influx of non-English immigrants who come hither to enjoy without hardship the liberties which our British ancestors carved out in toil and bloodshed. It is also true that such of them as belong to the Teutonic and Celtic races are capable of assimilation to our English type and of becoming valuable acquisitions to the population. But from this it does not follow that a mixture of really alien blood or ideas has accomplished or can accomplish anything but harm. Observation of Europe shows us the relative status and capability of the several races, and we see that the melting together of English gold and alien brass is not very likely to produce any alloy superior or even equal to the original gold. Immigration cannot, perhaps, be cut off altogether, but it should be understood that aliens who choose America as their residence must accept the prevailing language and culture as their own, and neither try to modify our institutions nor to keep alive their own in our midst. We must not, as the greatest man of our age declared, suffer this nation to become a polyglot boarding house. The greatest foe to rational Americanism is that dislike for our parent nation which holds sway amongst the ignorant and bigoted, and which is kept alive largely by certain elements of the population who seem to consider the sentiments of Southern and Western Ireland more important than those of the United States. In spite of the plain fact that a separate Ireland would weaken civilization and menace the world's peace by introducing a hostile and undependable wedge betwixt the two major parts of Saxondom, these irresponsible elements continue to encourage rebellion in the Green Isle, and in so doing tend to place this nation in a distressingly anomalous position as an abettor of crime and sedition against the motherland. Disgusting beyond words are the public honors paid to political criminals like Edward, alias Yeoman de Valera, whose very presence at large among us is an affront to our dignity and heritage. Never may we appreciate or even fully comprehend our own place and mission in the world till we can banish those clouds of misunderstanding which float between us and the source of culture. But the features of Americanism peculiar to this continent must not be belittled. In the abolition of fixed and rigid class lines, a distinct sociological advance is made, permitting a steady and progressive recruiting of the upper levels from the fresh and vigorous body of the people beneath. Thus, opportunities of the choicest sort await every citizen alike, whilst the biological quality of the cultivated classes is improved by the cessation of that narrow inbreeding which characterizes European aristocracy. Total separation of civil and religious affairs, the greatest political and intellectual advance since the Renaissance, is also a local American and more particularly a Rhode Island triumph. Agencies are today subtly at work to undermine this principle and to impose upon us, through devious political influences, the papal chains which Henry VIII first struck from our limbs, chains unfelt since the bloody reign of Mary, and infinitely worse than the ecclesiastical machinery which Roger Williams rejected. But when the vital relation of intellectual freedom to genuine Americanism shall be fully impressed upon the people, it is likely that such sinister undercurrents will subside. The main struggle which awaits Americanism is not with reaction, but with radicalism. Our age is one of restless and unintelligent iconoclasm, and abounds with shrewd sophists who use the name Americanism to cover attacks on that institution itself. Such familiar terms and phrases as democracy, liberty, or freedom of speech are being distorted to cover the wildest forms of anarchy, whilst our old representative institutions are being attacked as un-American by foreign immigrants who are incapable both of understanding them or of devising anything better. This country would benefit from a wider practice of sound Americanism with its accompanying recognition of an Anglo-Saxon source. Americanism implies freedom, progress, and independence, but it does not imply a rejection of the past, nor a renunciation of traditions and experience. Let us view the term in its real, practical, and unsentimental meaning.